Cast. I'm your host, Alex Monaco, chilling with David Popkins, professional baseball player. How we doing, D-Pop?
Hey, doing well. How you doing?
Good, and I'm fascinated to talk with you about this subject. We're talking meditation. We're talking visualization. Obviously, I meditate. You meditate. For those out there that don't, it's essentially just taking 15 minutes, 10 minutes and different variations to yourself, clearing the mind, being in the moment, focusing on your breath. But David, you wanted to come on and talk specifically about how to manifest your visualizations in your mind physically in real life. And I wanted you to take the floor and we'll go from there with what you want to touch on.
Yeah, so I got introduced visualization back in college, and I've had some very good success with it and using it in my career and kind of learning. My images are the clearest in my mind is usually when I'm doing the best in baseball. But as the years went on, I started to realize, like, okay, I'm visualizing and then I'm going in the game, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The inconsistency of it was a little frustrating at times. So connect my visualization at home to the reality of being on the field. So first was like breathing. So I started to connect, like, okay, this is how I breathe in my meditation before I hit a home run or my visualization. Then I'll connect this breath to the exact type of breath I was doing in reality. So anyway, so from there I started to really kind of take it to the next level where I felt that if I could connect either a mannerism or a breath or something that I had in my visualization to the reality, then it's more likely to come true. So, for instance, I would visualize hitting a home run, and I would see my opponent. I would see the details of their cleats, their socks, their pants, the field, the wind. I would see all these details, and then at home I would celebrate as if I hit a home run. So I'd be smiling, I'd fist bump. I would, a thing in baseball you do is shake hands with the coach. So I would go through all these things as if I already hit it. And in real life, if I had that exact same home run, I would do those same mannerisms that I did in my mind to kind of bring it all connected and bring it together. So
right. Also,
what I then learned was if I did those mannerisms before I hit, I kind of tricked my mind in thinking I had already accomplished that. And I've had some crazy scenes in my mind that I saw that you wouldn't even imagine. A certain pitch, like a backdoor slider, hitting it the opposite field home run. And I mean, the odds of that happening and seeing that before, because I would try to visualize any situation and then it happening. I mean, I've had some freaky instances where it was the exact pitch I saw, the exact location, the exact place I hit it out. And honestly, the celebration was exactly what I had seen in my mind, a fist bump.
Wow.
Shaking the hand of the manager. Yeah. So I started to think that maybe you could do that not only in baseball, but you could do it in whatever craft you're in, whether it's giving a speech at work, doing a stand-up comedy routine, in anything really.
Well, it's fascinating you say that, and it's very exciting to hear. I think it runs along the lines of what kind of sleepwalking through life versus walking through life with purpose and intention. You set that intention that morning to have that kind of an outing at the plate, and you had details fill in. And it sounds like you didn't force the details. Correct me if I'm wrong. The color of the cleats, the exact pitch, the ballpark. Did it all fill in fairly organically and naturally for you when you were in that meditative state?
So at first it was a little fuzzy, and you got to kind of force your mind, because your mind, obviously, as you know, is very incredible. So it'll kind of jump around. It will kind of show stuff that has nothing to do with the scene you're trying to set. But eventually, though, through practice and time, you can literally see the details of all this stuff, and it does kind of happen naturally. For instance, like if you know that the opponent's jersey, or let's say your boss likes a certain suit, like all of a sudden your mind can kind of create these pictures, and you feel like you've already done it before. You've seen it. You've seen the reaction. You know the celebration that you're going to do. You do the celebration before, and your mind kind of gets into. You kind of put your mind in the zone without needing the success to do it physically.
Well, that's fascinating. I mean, I know there's a lot of different renditions of how athletes describe seeing something happen before it happens. Do you feel that in baseball, because there is so much time in between pitches and in between, there's just more time. Do you think the ones that are actually spending those free moments visualizing and intention setting as opposed to just getting ready for the next pitch or the next play are actually much better well off than guys just kind of free balling it, if you will?
I would say you're better at reaching. You have a higher chance of reaching your potential and limiting your lows. So, like, that guy may have a lot of success who's not doing visualization, but when he goes in a slump, as every baseball player does, those valleys tend to be a lot longer if you're not doing these visual techniques to keep your confidence high. Which is number one. That's the number one thing is, I don't need success in real life to feel the same confidence I do when, let's say, I'm hitting 500. So I could be in a slump in reality, but in my mind, I visualize myself getting out of this slump, crushing it, and I can carry myself to success and confidence on the field. That's going to limit my valley. That's going to make that valley a lot shorter than it normally would if I just let my emotions dictate my confidence.
Well, and that's Abraham Hicks on that, baby, feeling good whether you're balling or not. But secondly, do you feel that on that note, if you're, and I really want to get deep with this because we have our egos, right? And our egos sometimes tell us we're the greatest thing since sliced bread. But then we also have the Woody Allen voice inside us that talks ourselves down. Do you think that's the ego? Because a lot of spiritual gurus, if you will talk about your true self, your inner source, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, that always loves you all the time, whether you're hitting below the Mendoza line, you're hitting 500. When you're in those moments where you are slumping and you are able to pick yourself up and then you turn around and you go 3 for 4 or what have you, is that just, to you, in your opinion, your ego helping boost you up as much as your maybe higher vibration self-thoughts? You think it's a combination of both? Are we scared of being too positive all the time? So we do ebb and flow?
So, yeah, no, I think that if anything, people are too scared to be in the positive realm too long because they're protecting their emotions and their mind, the hurt that their mind may feel if they get really high and then something bad happens and they get really low. So I'd say more times often than not, people are protecting their egos by, hey, I'm really hot right now, but but dang, this can't stay forever. This isn't going to be forever. So I need to make sure I don't get too confident, because if it doesn't last, everyone's going to think I'm a
but that's full on diminishing. That's diminishing your abundance, whether you're an athlete or not an athlete.
I 100% agree, and that's why the greatest athletes of any generation, i.e., for example, Conor McGregor, he puts it out there, and he's not afraid of staying in that positive realm as long as he wants. Even when he lost, he did an incredible job of going down with that loss as much as he wanted to, and then he got right back on the horse and was able to get back in that positive aura, that fearless confidence, and led him to get right back on top, which other athletes tend to get that one loss and everything falls, and they no longer have that fearless mind that got them to where they were. They lost that unbeatable streak, and now it's their mind went with it instead of releasing the ego and understanding what got you there in the first place. One loss doesn't define you, and get back on that horse and get back in that fearless mind.
And what's fascinating, we're talking with David Popkins, professional baseball player. What's fascinating to me about baseball specifically, and I often apply this to my swings and misses many a times with females at the bar, is you're going to get out more than you're going to get on. I mean, the greatest baseball hitters are 4 out of 10 in the history of baseball. That's 6 outs for every 4 ons. Yet we have this unbelievable kind of societal norms around the idea of failure and the great ones, the Einsteins, the Bruce Lees, they know failure is inevitable. But then there's also the other side of the coin with the success thing. And that's what I love talking. And I want to kind of touch on that with a baseball player, because when you're flowing, and baseball guys are superstitious, I'd say more so than other pro sports. Is it a combination of feeling good and thinking good when you're hot? I mean, that is, to me, in baseball, because you could go 4 for 4 and the next day go 0 for 4. Whereas, like, if you're a quarterback, which you were in high school, you're going to get 35 times to throw the rock that game. Or in basketball, if you're a shooting guard, you're going to get 17 attempts. Baseball, you have few and far in between moments to impact the game. So is it everything has to be flowing downstream for it to be working both physically and mentally?
No, so yeah, baseball, and the reason, I mean, you said superstition, so that kind of touches on this subject. Baseball is a game where you really don't have too much control at, like, in a sense. And with that, gives baseball players, it makes you a little crazy, but you don't really have control like you do in other sports. So baseball, you can do everything right one day, crush the ball in the nails, have the highest exit velocity of anyone on the team, but if you hit it right at somebody, it doesn't matter. So baseball players grasp on to things they can control. So preparation, superstition. So superstition is just the way, hey, I did everything I could do to control my result, even though it's totally pointless, but it gives those athletes, I mean, I wouldn't say it's pointless, but if it gives you confidence, anything gives you confidence is not pointless to me, but you can get it in other ways. The way I like to say, and the way I teach hitting the students is, when you're visualizing, don't just visualize hitting a home run every single time. Visualize you swinging and missing out of sliders. Visualize umpires call 3 inches off the plate, calling a strike, and see yourself overcome these difficult times. So when it does happen, you're not like, oh, what do I do? This never happened before, because it's going to happen to everybody. So one day everyone is going to reach a level where they're going to be challenged, and they're going to be challenged with failure. And if you haven't prepared for that, and you have no idea how to handle it, you're going to falter, and you're going to go to all these other vices to cope with that failure and that depression, and end up killing your potential. But if you understand that failure is a possibility, and it's not going to define you, and you know how, and your mind's eye, and you've seen yourself overcome it, it really can't touch you. It really,
but baseball, it's such a and that's well said, but baseball is so particular with being able to maintain abundance, because like you've alluded to, you can do everything right at the plate. You can put the rock on a scorching line drive up the middle, and you got a Derek Jeter to dive, lay out, and make that catch. How do you leave that at bat without shaking your confidence, even though you did everything right? Because in football, unless your wide receiver drops the rock, or in basketball, the rim really rolls you and doesn't give you a favorable bounce, you're going to get rewarded for right intangibles and right techniques. But in baseball, again, that's the very craftiness element of the game, is you can have a beautiful swing and still get out.
So yeah, you need to then change your definition of success. So success is no longer me getting a hit, or me getting on base, or whatever. Success, you have to change your definition. So success now is going to be things that I can control. Okay, so my goals for a game are: 1, swing at strikes, don't swing at bad pitches. I like to keep it positive, so I like to say swing at good pitches I can drive, hit the ball hard, stay focused for each pitch, stay in the moment for each pitch. Like, all of a sudden, those are my grades for success. It's no longer me having to get a hit is going to make me feel confident going the next day. It's now, okay, if I did these things that I can control, my ego is no longer involved. So instead of being results oriented, I'm now process oriented and things I can control. And now the ego can't sabotage me and ruin my confidence. When, let's say I went out and hit 4 balls on the screws and didn't get a hit, and for some reason I'm holding my head like I just went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts, when really that's ludicrous. You did everything perfect. You should be holding your head up like you did 4 for 4 with 4 home runs.
Right.
So it's just taking the ego out and changing. Instead of being results oriented, you're now process oriented, which then puts it in my control. I can control that, and that is what gives me confidence. No longer the results of the game.
Well, a couple more questions, and I'll let you get out of here. It's a fascinating subject. When you do best out there, is it a intention setting day? Is it a visualization, high vibing day in your mind first before you go out on the field and get it done? Because the Phil Jacksons of the world, they taught practice with your eyes closed in the dark. He had meditation sessions with Jordan, with Kobe. Are those exercises done for you when you go out and hit 2 home runs that day? Or is it sometimes just something in the air, or just everything's flowing downstream for you?
Yeah, so sometimes you don't need to do all that stuff, and you're just flowing and you feel good, and it happens like that. But I'll say this, like, whenever I've had a streak of a low and downs, I got lazy. I hadn't been doing my mental work, because it's just like anything. There's mental fatigue. You get tired by doing this. You don't always feel like you have. I kind of put other things on a higher end, and realized, let's say down like 10 at bats in, 15 at bats in, I hadn't been doing my meditation visualization. All of a sudden I do it, and then boom, I'm back in the zone. So it's not, you don't necessarily need to do it to be successful, but I would say there's a lot more athletes that are successful that are doing this and not really saying anything, and because it's an edge.
Well, is it an edge? That it's got to be an edge, or like the best kept secret. When you say?
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second.
That more athletes aren't touching on this because it's giving them an edge. It's the secret.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like this huge conspiracy, but yeah, there's a lot more people doing it than they say, or maybe they just haven't had the outlet to say it. And yeah, it is an edge. I know I've kept a lot of this stuff to myself, because I've been able to do a lot of things in baseball where I wasn't supposed to do, because I was a free agent. I got overlooked in the draft, and I've always had to do things twice as much to get half the credit. So I know that this has been a huge edge for me, as my mind has helped me a ton, and dealing with the way I visualize, the way I meditate, and etc.
Well, that's fascinating. I appreciate you coming on and touching on this a little bit, but ultimately you feel good about this moving forward. You're spreading the love with this, spreading the joy, and empowering the idea of, like we touched on even before this convo, putting exactly what you want at play in physical manifestation form, first in your mind, having it go swimmingly, and then watching it unfold before your eyes at a later date, virtually effortlessly.
Yeah, correct. And finding a connector, right? So finding something that can connect your mental rehearsal to the physical world, whether it's a fist pump, a chest bump, a high five, or
so you're saying like a chest bump, a fist bump, any of that in the meditation form that makes the connector to the real life, because sometimes you won't even recognize, because you're living in real time. Oh my gosh, I meditated on that. I visualized on that early.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Well, that connector's money. Champion Mindset on Twitter, baby. Follow him. It's a phenomenal conversation, as always, with you. Thank you for hopping on with me, Deepop.
All right, big dog. I will talk to you later.
All right, man. Talk to you. Bye. And that's David Popkins, professional baseball player, always a treat. You're listening to the Extraordinary Sports Podcast on iTunes. I'm Alex Monaco. Until next time, ta-ta real smooth.